G'day and welcome back to Hoysl's Cab Confessions. I'm George Lee, and right now I'm joined with grower and agronomist Alistair Ferrier. G'day, Al.
G'day, how you going, George?
I don't usually use Alistair that often. They must feel weird coming hearing that from me.
Is that very official?
That's very, well, we are a very, very serious podcast.
That's all right.
So looking at where we are today, we're currently on your farm,
Yep.
which is halfway between Sea Lake and Birchip.
Yep, that's it.
What's the family history here?
So this property, this is the original, this block we're actually on is the original, was the first block any Ferrier owned in the district. So 1910, he was a share farmer, my great grandfather, and he, this was the first title that he settled here on the homestead here, and there's obviously families, there's other families that have grown and expanded. I mean, I've been away in corporate roles. My father died when I was young, and the properties had been leased, and just the last 3 to 4 years, it was either now or never to really come back and have a go at it. And so we've started on farming on this first 1,000 acres in 2019, and took some more lease country back the following year, and started with no plant, and we've
which is always a challenge.
It's a challenge, absolutely. So it was basically contractors that started off for me, and slowly got started with a tractor, and then started to build up some plant, and slowly trying to doing more and more myself, to the point where now I'm almost self-sufficient other than harvesting, really. I've still got harvesting contractors that I work with that harvest, but the rest of the operation I'm doing myself.
And long term, sort of, it's where you want to get to.
Look, it will be. I suppose it's just got to be economies of scale. I've got to look at the my operation as potentially having to expand. But I mean, I'm basically doing it all by myself. So the beauty at harvest is just having, not only they got their own machinery, but there's they've got a chasing bin driver and you've got staff there to. Obviously I don't have to source myself. So at the moment it's it's probably suiting my operation, but it certainly may change in the future.
Yep. And not having to worry about that labour unit for you to find is probably a big thing too.
Absolutely, and have parts and service, and on that header side of things, that's always always guys can put you under stress at times when you have breakdowns and those sorts of things. But it's at the moment it really sort of at harvest I'm obviously still driving a truck, but I'm organising diesel and logistics and just keeping the wheels turning. So
you're really doing the role that every farmer, or when you're the farm manager or it's your actual farm, you seem to spend hardly any time actually in the cab. Everybody else is driving a gear, and you're running around being the gopher. But that's what keeps the wheels turning.
Keeps the wheels turning, and that's the main thing. Like it's shifting bins and making sure that we've got moving to the next paddock and just
keeping the wheels turning.
Because there's always you're always on the phone or chasing after something. So it's a hectic time of year, but it's always rewarding, especially after the seasons. Last couple of seasons we've had.
You've probably picked a couple of good sort of. Well, really, you haven't really missed out. Look, touch wood.
Touch wood. But look, they're always around the corner. So. But certainly last couple of seasons. Last year was challenging, almost on the moisture side of things, but we got there in the end, and it's amazing what just to the advances in technology and agronomics that what we have been able to produce, even in a year like this where we had good subsoil moisture, but there were some periods during the year that we were starting to we were running on empty, but it's just amazing that the conservation in moisture, the agronomics that we're using now, and the technology that what we're able to produce off our country. It's even in the last 3 or 4 years, there's been advances, and just some of that. We've just harvested some thunder lentils, and the breeders have just they're doing a hell of a job with lentils. I mean, I can remembering the first couple of varieties. You can only really grow them on your best rise out in the paddock. And now I've got a paddock with some boron in it, and we were pushing sort of 2.7, 2.8 with these new varieties. So it's just amazing what they're able to produce. And I was, talking to some breeders, wheat breeders, they've been working on wheat varieties for years, whereas the lentil guys have only, the real upside is in some of these lentil genetics that they can bring through. And like we're sort of, this new variety that for this country through here, we've seen a 30-40% increase just straight off the bat, just on yield. I know we did get a late rainfall, and I think we picked up some of the Highland variety that I had in that I think it had, being a shorter season, it had really given up flowering and potting, whereas the Thunders were able to capitalise a bit on that last rainfall. But
that's that one sort of early October, was that?
Yeah, that one we had 30 mil in the first week of October. So but it's this new Thunder variety looks really exciting. I know there's also a Lightning variety for the more sandier country. So, but the advancements in it, and also improvement in sort of a lot of improvement in frost tolerance with it, with these new lines, and some step up on disease. So,
speaking of frost tolerance and looking at different varieties, we've been one of the chats that I've had, actually one in the cab, is with Jared Kemp, and Kemp was saying that he skip rode and he sowed Commander on one, and I think he might have had Maximus on the other.
Oh, in barley.
In barley. Yeah. And he's actually skip rode, so which then sort of makes the harvest a bit more interesting.
It would be, yeah,
because he's noticed the difference in the colour and the flowering and everything else. It's like you said there was like a 80 hectare trial.
Well, you got a semi-dwarf variety versus they're just completely different.
That's one for to be interested in.
Completely different plant types. Yeah.
100%. But just the fact you actually skip roll
it.
So
that would have been interesting. Yeah.
Well, what we're really keen to talk about is actually looking at data, and you wear two hats. One as a grower here on your farm, but also as a fee for service agronomist. And from when you started, when did you start your career in agronomy?
Started off as a trainee with Elders, and that was back in it would have been 2003. So just started off blending seed and fertiliser, and was actually down in the southeast South Australia at Mount Gambier.
Yep.
Came across, started working in sales agronomy roles. Worked through to I had a stint up north. Actually worked on up in the Ord Pacific Seeds farm in Kununurra, so working on hybrid seed production up there. So that was really interesting, completely different world. Male female crosses with on summer crops, so corn, sorghum, millet. So all siphon hose irrigation, and it was just completely different, up in amongst mango trees and sandalwoods, and in a pretty hostile environment. But had a lot of fun. Great times up there. Had a couple of seasons there, and then worked through some corporate roles in seed, and spent 7 or 8 years with New Farm and about 3 years with BASF. So in sales roles, I did 3 years. Spent 3 years down at Melbourne in a corporate middle management role in portfolio, and then it was almost a time now or never to come back and have a go at the family farm, because it was I suppose getting to a stage where if you don't do it now, you never will. So I got to a point where you're either a corporate guy or and whilst I enjoyed going out and seeing growers, but the roles I was in just in the end was spending a lot of time in offices, meeting rooms, and it just wasn't for me, I suppose. I just really had to make that call, and really glad that I have, because it's we've done some hard yards over the last 3 years, but it looks like we're starting to get there. So,
So looking at your work history before coming back to the farm, where did data sort of play a role in those early days to where is it now, Al?
Yeah, look, absolutely. So, I mean, when we started off obviously had a good relationship with yourself, but having that grower farm field, just getting the basics right, getting that in early, we were able to, basically, as we know, as I said to you, we started capturing data from contractors, and they were every different colour, all different breeds of screens, but have the fundamentals right on your property, have your grower farm field, and just get that. There's always a way to get that data transferred back into Operations Centre. Found Operations Centre as the market leader for housing data, being able to access it in one place, and just have the compatibility with all the different screens that are out there, just to be able to get that back into one central location where you can always access it, whether it's on iPad, phone, your laptop at home. So we started there, collecting data. We've got our EM38 maps. All that information's now in. We've got linkages with METOS, PCT for variable rate. That's all come on board since we've started. The simplicity to be able to generate a prescription map from PCT and then send it straight through to your screen in your tractor, and with your coon spreader, just be able to. It's just seamless, really. So
you touch on a great point there about simplicity and seamlessness. I really, they're two things that I find are critical and really important, because traditionally, and I've said it multiple times in different situations, where you've probably got those, maybe not even that 5% that'll pour over data, but it's when you actually look at the 95% out there that don't want to actually pour over data and spend a lot of time on computers. They want to do their best work out in the field. To make it seamless, easy, simple, it just works.
Absolutely, and look, a lot of times at the moment, we spend time. I mean, I'm doing all my own tractor work, so I'm quite often looking at my iPad on the tractor, looking at data, and while you've got time there, that's if the phone's not ringing, you can be digesting it. Look, it's as you say, seamless. It flows. I can go in 6 o'clock in the morning. I've got to go, right, I want to get some prescription maps done. I'll knock them out and in no time, and then got them on my screen, and I can be out there applying that within half an hour. And it's just, it's like anything. It's just, once you've done it, it seems a bit daunting for a start, but once you've done it, you go, gee, this is easy. And it's, you got your as applied maps that are just stored automatically, or and that's not even to your spraying operation, your spreading, harvesting. It's just the whole shooting match. It's all there, and it's all held in one location. And it's I couldn't speak highly enough of the program. So
And in your time, say with elders and BASF and those different roles, where's that machine data generally sort of been thought of, or is it sort of it's a pretty map, or could they see value in the data?
I think they could.
I was going to say loaded question.
I think they could. They can, but it's actually people will do what you pay them to do. So I suppose you go back to put your sales agro hat on. He's probably and that the other traditional agro that would just come out and do some recs, and you got to go in and buy a chemical. He was paid to go and sell chemicals. So whilst some of the more progressive guys would have seen the value in it, ultimately, if they're not remunerated or rewarded for that, for taking that next step, it's probably something that would fall off. So I think your approach into looking at working with the fee for service guys, and also the guys that have an attachment to a farm, they can really see the synergies.
Yep.
So,
and that's definitely one thing that I've seen as well, is that connection to the agronomist that actually is a farmer. There's a lot more willingness to be trying to push yourself a lot harder, because not only are you trying to do it for your clients, but you're trying to do it for yourself as well.
Yep. No, look, I'm not saying that all sales agros. it's,
I was gonna say, that's a disclaimer here.
Yeah.
We're not tarring all sales growers with that brush.
I mean, look, ultimately, and that's no matter what industry you work in,
Yeah.
people generally always gravitate to what they're remunerated for, and that for a valid reason. I mean, that's what, you can see that. But yeah, look, I think those guys would certainly, absolutely, they'll be. The world's evolving, technology's moving along, and there's many ways you can use data. There's some of the companies are, looking at disease modelling and trying to use that technology to alert growers on, when you're at high risk of a disease infection, and there's plenty of focus being put out by those companies, there's no doubt, but it's a moving space, and you've got to resource it well with people that are generally invested in it, I think, because they're the ones that can really see the value in it. So,
In regards to yield data, always seems to be that low-hanging fruit, and it's just like, and in the past you get people go, oh, it's a pretty map, it's a map on a piece of paper, or however they view that data. Looking at as applied data, that's becoming more, if not more critical than yield data, Al.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point, every agronomy update I seem to go to, in the recent history or recent past, there's more and more pressure coming on some of the active ingredients that we use, and from our markets, they're wanting more transparency, they're wanting more visibility on what's being applied on all these on our grain that we're exporting. Recent examples like haloxyfop in canola, we've lost that, in particularly the Europeans. We've lost that as an active in our canola market. Chlorpyrifos is under pressure. These are, and it's a nasty organophosphate, but it's as a pre-treatment in canola for our pests, some of our insect pests, and Russian wheat aphid as a broad acre spray. They're cost-effective options that growers have got. And if we start losing some of these actives, it's just going to make production harder and harder. But probably the overriding thing here is that these markets it's critical that we're collecting our data, and because as we go forward, they're going to want to see more and more of the, they're going to want to see what we're applying on our paddocks. And if you've got machines, which most people have, and screens now that can actually record this data and capture it, and then we can flow it back into a central point like Operations Centre, I think that's going to save a lot of headaches in the future. I mean, every grower most growers that I know anyway, sign an ISCC declaration prior to harvest, and some of the auditing in that actually looks scary. I mean, not that I've seen anyone get audited, but if you stick his head in the sand and just don't, you'll get left behind. And I think it's going to become critical as we go forward that growers are capturing this data for all those reasons. So, yeah.
And those markets that are there currently, like we don't want to lose those markets, and it just makes the whole job harder when we do lose one, and then we've got to find another. And
absolutely. I suppose a recent example on the barley into China, now they're back in the market, but they're placing more demands on the grower, on what we're applying to our crops, and having transparency over that. And look, we've got equipment now that can do all this for us. So it's really important that people start embracing it and using programs like Op Centre to capture it.
Well, I think about also some of your paddocks here, and while we've got a project together which we've called the integration farm, and very much to demonstrate to growers, have a look at this today, we can go home and implement it tomorrow. It's also a real working farm, so not everything is perfect, and not every application is spot on. And I think about was it sort of up in Pine, was it, or North, when you actually had that issue with, was it turbine that you didn't?
Yeah, that's right. We had some fieldage fielder blockages, and we had some weed escapes. And it was just, I mean, I knew myself that I had problems with application there, and I was pretty quick to pick it up. But it was all that data was captured on as applied in Operations Centre through the rate controller on the Hardy unit, and it was particularly. So you put your agro hat on, you've got a client that you're seeing, say, what's going on here. Having access to that is just quickly eliminates you've got a clear understanding of what happened.
Because while you're a grower agronomist here, and like you say, it's like, okay, if it's one of your clients that you haven't actually farmed that land, you start to go into diagnostic mode, what's happened here, and work your way back to find that needle in the haystack to go, that's that point there that was the issue.
Yep.
If you can actually have that information and spatially work back from there, that makes your job as an agronomist a lot easier to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's another tool. I mean, there's all sorts of those investigations can be taken out by just checking at some of the as applied data. You can look at you might be out in a paddock looking at a job that you're not quite happy with. You can go back in and see your as applied rates, what day it was, they might have applied it at the wrong, it might have been in the wrong delta T timing. All those sort of things you can start instead of, you've got a pretty good idea about what potentially went wrong and what to do next time. So.
Yeah. I think about, like what you say about sort of delta T, right, wrong, or it was applied, let's say, out of spec. I thought one thing from early on in my career, I'll say that I was very much taught the most expensive spray application you can make is the one that doesn't work. Yeah. That was just drummed into me just flat out. So making sure that you are recording good, or you understand what those weather conditions are that are happening outside of the cab, that's just as important as agitation.
Absolutely. And when you've got here we've installed METOS stations now, so we've got a linkage between into Operations Centre with those weather stations, so it's pretty clear to understand what your conditions are when you are spraying. And look, it's always hard to get it perfect, and it's always hard. We're always pushing the boundaries because we're always, there's a lot of times that will be a weather event coming or this, but you just try to make the best decision at the time to get, to try and get the best result. So,
and looking at the next season, so looking, what sort of things you're already looking towards? How can you see yourself?
Next year, what I'd love to, we haven't been able to this year, but I'd love to be able to capture more protein data, particularly on wheat, just to help optimise some of the nitrogen application, particularly in wheat, potentially canola. And I think as I've spoken to you about trying to get some understanding on what our paddocks are producing and trying to generate gross margin maps.
So really coming back to that profit and loss.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I mean, I've obviously got it rattling around in my head. I've had just pulled the lentils off and I've had a really good result there. And it'd really be interesting to stack that up versus, say, some canola.
Yeah.
And I know they all play their part in the rotation, but it's just really good to understand. And it just gives you a good understanding about what you potentially, if you're looking to expand, you've got an idea on, you can really sort of pinpoint about, helps you pinpoint potentially what land's worth or what it is, what to lease it, what potentially you can push with different crops, and that just gives you, if you're doing that, I don't think there'll be a lot of other growers that would be around. It might just give you an edge. So.
So Bernardo, right? So understanding what you're.
Well, everyone's got a different cost structure. Like I'm paying a contract at half my crop, so that'll be different to some guys who've got their own equipment. But if I've got an understanding, this is my operation, and I sort of place that over this block that potentially I might be able to buy a lease. even giving that information to your bank, they really love that sort of stuff. So.
And that's another great point that you do raise, Al, about sort of like your bank, your finance side of things. But the more information you can have and collated and that stronger business case, the easier it is to secure finance.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Rather than sort of the back of an envelope and.
Absolutely, no, because it's just, they're coming under the same. I mean, we had our opening here, and we had the Westpac representatives there, and it all just flows into there. They're getting more and more focused on data, and so from a finance standpoint, I think it's just going to make things a lot easier if you can roll out your financials and roll out profit and loss or gross margin maps from your paddocks. They'll I love that sort of stuff.
To put you on the spot here, I'm going to ask for a bit of a farm stuff up or a bit of a confession.
Right.
So if there's one that you can think of off the top of your head, sort of. Or either that, or you can come back to me, or.
Let's have a think. Gee, that would have been handy. There's been plenty, no doubt. I'm not perfect, that's for sure. You might have to come back.
I'll come back to you on another episode. I'll make sure that we. That's all right.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank you, Al Ferrier,
for
joining us on this episode of Cab Confessions and having
Absolute
a bit of a chat
pleasure.
with us.